Always say something. A prize, motherfucker.
Leave me alone. Go out west. Give me your phone. Blow it down west.
What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm Demetrius Thickpen, also known as Meech Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of the Talkin Crazy podcast. Now, before we get started with this podcast, don't forget to head on over to your favorite streaming platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, and leave this podcast an honest review, because this podcast deserves to grow just as much as we do. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Another day, another beginning of the week. Let's go ahead and get straight to it. Now, one thing that I will say, and I don't know who need to hear this, but I'm on recruiting duty. All right. If you haven't checked last week's episode with Peasy, where I said 3 months on recruiting duty, I'm on recruiting duty. All right. And I've been here for a while, and I'm going to be here for a while. Matter of fact, I'm actually going to be here for the next 3 years. And I've gotten a chance to do an episode right before I went on recruiting duty, my first month on recruiting duty. And then now here it is, my third month on recruiting duty. And I'm going to bring Peasy on every milestone on recruiting duty, just to, one, hear his perspective, but also to give everybody just a little background of what's going on in my life. You know what I mean? But I'm going to tell you right now, and I don't know who need to hear this, okay? But each month, it seemed like I'm starting to find my rhythm. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to find my feet up under me. Each month, it feels like I'm really developing my art, my style while out here. So I really cannot wait to just share with everyone just who I really plan on becoming while I'm out here. You know what I mean? But I will say this, and what's so crazy is that I've never really been very motivated. You know, if you've asked anybody about me, I've never really been real, like, motivated. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, rah, semper fi. I've never really been like that. But what I have always been is a fucking realist. You know what I mean? I'm real quick to call a spade a spade. I'm real quick to point out the fact. You know, I'm real quick to just acknowledge what's going on around me. But I've never been one of those types to drink the Kool-Aid. And last week, right? Like last week I was doing a table display at a school. And as I was sitting back doing a table display, this young man came up to me, this young man and his mom. Now, I'm sitting there, doing my recruiter thing. I got on my dress blue Bravos, you feel me, with the white pants. And I'm going to just tell everybody, because white pants is a big responsibility. In fact, I actually have to go and get mine dry cleaned because I wasn't responsible. So as I'm sitting there, getting names, listening to everybody's plans after they graduate high school, asking them if they ever thought about the military, asking them if they've ever thought about the Marine Corps, this young man, he approaches me. And he approaches me with his mother. Now, I'm not going to give you too many details about him, but his mom comes over, they're talking and everything like that, and I bring up, I'm like, hey, have you ever thought about the military? Mom immediately jumps in. She's like, yeah, he's thought about the Navy. I'm like, okay, that's great. No problem. The kid, he starts signing his name, and then he starts putting his number down. Now, the mom is looking like, what are you doing? I thought you said that you wanted to go to the Navy. Once again, everybody, I'm sitting here at the table like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to go to the Navy, go to the Navy, bro. Like, if you're going to go to a different branch of service, by all means, go to a different branch of service. One thing I'm not about to be doing out here is begging. I'm going to just go ahead and just keep it a buck with everybody. I'm not begging. So he starts to ask me questions about the military, telling me like, hey, I want to do aviation. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to go to school. And I just cut him off. And I told him, I was like, look, man, like, you can do school, you can get into aviation, you can do a lot of those things at every other branch, bro. The Army can, send you to school, allow you to travel the world. The Navy can do the exact same. The Air Force, I'm pretty sure you already get it. It's in the name, aviation. You know what I mean? Why the Marine Corps? Like, why would you come to this booth? You know what I mean? Like, why, of all booths, why are you here? And he's like, well, it's kind of a joke. And I was like, kind of a joke of what? And he was like, I put my name down for a joke. I looked at him dead in the face and I told him this. I was like, look, man, I don't know who you've been talking to or what you thought, but the Marine Corps is the hardest branch of service. All right? We're the hardest branch. Can you travel the world? 100%, but you sure can do that in any other branch. Will we pay for your college? 100%. And I'm pretty sure that every other branch would do that as well. Will you gain some skills? Probably at every other branch. But you coming over here to the United States Marine Corps, not realizing that we are actually the hardest branch, not to just do, but to even get in. We have the highest test standards, highest physical standards, and by the look of it, we also have the highest height and weight standards as well, man. We don't raise the standard and we ain't about to bring it down for you. So as you sit here trying to write your name down as a ha 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 he, everybody else that's written their name down did not think that this was a joke. Because I looked them dead in the face and I told them that one thing that we can promise you is that we can give you a fucking challenge. We can put some obstacles in front of you and you're going to overcome those obstacles. And when you're done overcoming those obstacles and beating those challenges, you can hold your head high and say that you were part of one of the most illustrious organizations ever known to man. We ain't never lost a battle. We ain't never compromised. And we damn sure ain't about to do it today. And I said this in front of his mother. Now, mom at the time, her mouth is dropped. She's like, I can't believe he just said that. I said, ma'am, I have more. I said, matter of fact, since you think that this is a joke, do me a favor and cross your name out. Because I don't want to call somebody that thinks that this is a joke. I don't want to waste my time getting on the phone with you if you ain't serious about this. So do me a favor and cross your name out so that way there's no issue between us. And I walked away with my head high because of the simple fact that regardless of however this situation may play out, I'm not about to be out here asking and begging people. You know what I mean? I'm not about to be out here asking and begging people to join one of the best branches of service. I'm not about to ask and beg somebody to join the most challenging branch of service. I don't know who need to hear this, but everybody knows, even if they don't have an idea about the military, they know that the Marine Corps is the most hardest branch. You know what I mean? They know that the Marine Corps is the one that's going to give the challenge. So I'm not about to sit here and beg. So I told him, cross his name out. And I went back and I let everybody know. Now, I bring that up, man, because not only did I do that last week, but also I got a chance to really sit down with myself. I sat down with myself. And this month marks 15 years in the United States Marine Corps. 15 years. Where has the time went? You know what I mean? Like, where has the time went? I remember being 18, talking to my recruiter. Here I am, 33, and I've been in the Marine Corps. Now, I may not have all the ribbons on my chest or all the rank on my collar, but one thing that I can really promise, and let me rephrase that, one thing that I'm really grateful for is the simple fact that my character has never been broken. I've never compromised my character. My character has never wavered. My reputation of myself is not bad. And I'm truly grateful, man, because especially in a time and era where we can hop online and pretend to be somebody that we know damn well that we not, it's so easy to actually do that. And it's actually even easier to really get exposed. I'm so happy that who I am is who I am. You know what I mean? Like who people see me online, like when they scroll and everything like that, like, oh my God, like, wow, that's who I am in real life, ladies and gentlemen. Like the person that you see online is actually who I am in real life. And the person that you see in real life, I don't magically turn into somebody when I hop online. So who I am is exactly who I am. And I say that because not a lot of people can. So today's episode is all about reputation and having a standard for yourself. Let's go ahead and get straight to it. So as we dive into this episode, I really want to just open it up with a quote. And that quote is from the 48 Laws of Power. And it says, so much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Now, for those who don't understand, there's a big difference between reputation and character. Reputation is what others think of you. Character is who you actually are. Now, does your reputation dictate your character? Absolutely not. But your character dictates your reputation. And what I mean by that, man, like I'm always a victim of this actually. You know what I mean? Ever since I've become Meech Speaks, or let me rephrase that. Ever since I blew up as Meech Speaks, there it is right there, because I really didn't become Meech Speaks. Meech was always speaking, but ever since Meech Speaks blew up online, you know what I mean? People have always had like this weird reputation with that. You know what I mean? Like they've always had like this weird like notion or idea before they actually meet me. They always assume that I'm arrogant. They always assume that I'm cocky. They always assume that I have a chip on my shoulder. You know what I mean? And then when they actually meet me, they're like, wow, like you're completely different than who you are. And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, bro, like that was what you thought of me. And I'll even be the first one to say that a lot of times, like people will develop like this weird reputation about themselves before people actually get a chance to meet them, because a lot of people, one, insecure, two, don't know how to properly judge somebody, and three, just don't have an idea of you and try to base it off of what they see or how you carry themselves. And a lot of times, like you tend to aggravate how somebody is on the inside just by your actions alone. You know, so matter of fact, actually, when I even go all the way back, even before being Meech Speaks, I used to have that type of reputation already. Like people would see me and just assume that I was an asshole. They would just assume that I was like cocky or arrogant, just simply because of how I carried myself, because I was a martial arts instructor trainer, because I just had like my head high. You know what I mean? Like people have always had this weird assumption about me. But then when they meet me in real life, they're like always blown away. They're like, wow, man, like I didn't expect you to be so humble. Wow, man, like I didn't think that you were this funny. Wow, man, like I didn't think that you were like this. And I'm just like, bro, I promise you, man, like what you probably have thought isn't necessarily it. But I will always say that your character will determine your reputation. You know what I mean? Like your character has a way of changing your reputation. Your reputation is what others think of you. You know what I mean? Like that's what other people think. Now they may have evidence or they may not have evidence, but your character is always going to be the evidence that will drive a new reputation for you. Now, can your reputation be broken down? Can it be tarnished? Can it be damaged? 100%, man. Like a good example of this is, you remember that time back in like, I say March 2016, I told a story. I was on an old course. I was climbing a rope, couldn't get up the rope. I was a martial arts instructor trainer at the time. Do you know how many people saw that? Like 700 people. Do you know how many people went around and told like, hey, there was a martial arts instructor trainer. He couldn't climb a fucking rope. He was this black guy. And then some people like start putting pieces to the puzzle and realize like, oh, well, you know, I think Thickpen is X, Y, and Z. And they was like, yeah, that was the guy's name. And now I'm this IT that can't fucking climb a rope. So can your reputation be damaged? 100%. But most of the time, your reputation is always going to get damaged if your character doesn't actually back that up. Like if who you are isn't what everybody else thinks, then the reputation is always going to change. And that's whether it's good or if it's bad. Now let's get into holding yourself to a standard. Now, when you talk about holding yourself to a standard, there's a certain level of self-respect that you have to have. You know what I mean? Like when you set the bar for yourself, there's a certain level of respect that you have to have for yourself in order to set that bar, you know? Now, I'm not telling anybody to set some unrealistic standard that you know damn well that you can't hold yourself to, but hold yourself to a realistic standard. And when you hold yourself to a standard, you are the one that sets the tone for this. And I cannot stress that enough. You're the one that sets the tone for this. If you drop the standard, then everybody else is going to drop the standard. But if you maintain the standard, then everybody else is going to have to rise to the occasion. They will try to pull the standard down, but if you have a certain level of respect for yourself, you have a certain level of values to yourself, then that standard will never waver. So when we talk about holding ourselves to a standard, man, like you got to take into consideration and you have to ask yourself real life questions. You got to ask yourself, dude, like, who do you want yourself to be? What do I want to be known for? What do I want people to know me as? And I feel like a lot of times, man, like nobody really like takes a step back and really asks themselves those type of questions. And this is something that I always constantly ask myself. Like, I'm not even about to lie to you. I always ask, like, who do I want to be? What do I want to be known for? You know, especially being in the military. You know, do I want to be known as a staff sergeant that didn't take care of the Marines? You know, do I want to be known as a staff sergeant that constantly shows up fucking late? Do I want to be known as a fat staff NCO? Do I want to be known as this guy that has all these tabs on his belt but can't fucking fight? You know? Now, it's always negative when it comes to me, but you have to ask yourself, like, what do you want to be known for? You know, like, what do you want people, like, when your name comes up, what do you want the first thing to be? A lot of people will say, like, hey, I want to be known for being a great father. I want to be known for being a great husband. I want to be known for being a hard worker, someone that took care of the boys, someone that got the job done, someone that will chase after their goals. I want people to know that I'm ambitious. If you say these things, then you have to be these things. You have to act on these things. You have to take necessary steps towards that direction. Otherwise, you won't be known for anything but a fucking dreamer. You won't be known for anything but a person that just says that they're going to do these things but never does. So now let's talk about building and maintaining a positive reputation for yourself. Now, when you really look at it, the steps are the exact same. Consistency, action, and staying true to yourself. If you continue to follow these steps in the exact same order, you know, staying consistent, taking action, and being true to yourself, the reputation that you will have for yourself will always be maintained. Good example of this. I always tell my Marines to follow through on whatever they do, despite how bad it may be. Even if shit doesn't go their way, don't fucking give up. Never quit. So when I couldn't get up that rope, what do you think I had to do? You know, I had to stay there, despite the fact that I couldn't get up the rope. I had to keep climbing and keep climbing and keep climbing until I was finally able to get up the rope. And I've always been like that. I've always told people, you know, I've always wanted to be that type of leader that took care of the Marines. So guess what the fuck I did? I took care of the Marines. Even when it was an inconvenience to me, I knew that it would be a convenience for them. I knew that I would be able to take care of them. And I stayed consistent with that. I showed up for it. I took the necessary steps to be able to do it. And I didn't just talk it. If I told a Marine, hey, man, like if you have an issue on a weekend or it's 3 o'clock in the morning, give me a call. Guess what happens when my phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning? I got to stay true to what the fuck I just said. That means I got to get up and I got to go out and I got to go take care of business. If I say that, hey, man, like if you ever need me and somebody calls, then guess what? I guess they need me today. If I pride myself on being a hard worker, then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to work hard. I'm known to show up early. So guess what I like to do? I like to show up early. Sometimes it ain't even things that I do on purpose. I've just always been an early person. But I will say this, though. Those steps, staying consistent, will help you maintain and build a reputation for yourself. Even if there's steps that you subconsciously already just do on a regular basis, you know? If you're already a natural hard worker, people are going to develop a reputation. You're going to develop a reputation for yourself of being known as a hard worker. If you're always showing up on time, then guess what? When people see that, they're going to be like, damn, that person always is here early and they always show up on time. If you're naturally a good person, then guess what? That's going to spread and people are going to be like, yo, Meech, he's actually a good person. I have proof on that. Like I've seen him do good things. Now, be advised though, sometimes like we will subconsciously develop a negative reputation for ourselves. If you're a person that doesn't take accountability, it shows in your work ethic. It shows in how you react towards certain things. It shows how you handle it. If you're a bad leader, don't worry. It's already going to show and you're going to just be consistent with it. Like subconsciously, you already do shitty things and you're just consistent with it. So building and maintaining a relationship, So building and maintaining a reputation, man, like it's going to come down to just action, being true to yourself and being consistent. Now, one thing that I will say as we come to a close of this episode is that your reputation is very organic. You can change your reputation for yourself. I will say that because I have done that. When I first came in the Marine Corps, I was a shitbag. You know, I had a bad mouth. I had a bad temper. I had a bad attitude problem. I was just known for the wrong things. When I decided to get my shit together, right? Like when I really decided to get my shit together, because I don't think anybody really understands this. I'm really just a shitbag Marine that survived the transition to become a top tier performer. So when I tell people that I decided to get my shit together, it wasn't something overnight. You know, like when you want to change your reputation for yourself and go from being a shitbag to a top tier performer, or at least something to somebody can depend on, it's not something that happens overnight. People have already have this reputation for you, or let me rephrase this, they already have this idea of you. You got to build up to it. And that's exactly what I did. I showed up and I continued to do it. And I was consistent with it. And because I was consistent with it, people started to see me in a different light. Did it happen overnight? Absolutely not. Did it happen in a week? Hell no. Did it take a month? Fuck no. It took a while. But when it did, I stayed true to it. And I never looked back. So if you're thinking about trying to make a change for the better and do like a 360 of who you are, understand, man, like it is possible. Is it something that's going to happen overnight? No. But if you stay consistent and that's something that is deep within you and you truly want to be that, then it will happen.
And just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Don't forget to head on over to your favorite streaming platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, and leave this podcast an honest review because this podcast deserves to grow just as much as we do. Also, don't forget to head on over to TikTok or Instagram and follow me at Meech Speaks. That's right, Meech Speaks. Meech is spelled Meech. Stay motivated, stay healthy. I'm out.